We'll now have the closing response by Dr. Ayala.
Sorry?
The closing response?
Okay, yes. Let me tell you, just for the record, there is no absence of evidence for the mechanism of natural selection for evolution. Hundreds of books, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of articles made by thousands and thousands of people who know how to use the scientific method, which consists in making predictions and testing them one at a time. No extrapolation, testing. But let me tell you that one of my arguments for intelligent design, as I formulate in that book, is scientific, and I have most of the chapters are scientific. I have philosophical arguments, and I have separate chapters dedicated to philosophical issues, and there are theological arguments, religious arguments, and these are the ones that I think should bother most to people of faith, because the theory of intelligent design accomplishes exactly the opposite what it intends. I know that the proponents of intelligent design are by and large people of good faith, and they think that the science demonstrates the existence of God is a good thing. But that's not what happens. The implications of the intelligent design are profoundly anti-religious, and I think there's an important reason, religious reason, there are scientific reasons too, and philosophical, but the religious reason to reject intelligent design. And this is what I want to tell you now. So, alternative to evolution, intelligent design. Very briefly, just for the record, here is Behe's statement of why we detect design when a number of separate interacting components are ordered in such a way as to accomplish the function beyond the individual components, as it happens in the eye, for example, but also in the flagellum of the bacteria that he and the other examples, and they all have been explained in detail how they have evolved one step at a time, like in very large outline I have told you about the eye. Well, so the critique of evolution is wrong, and that was stated after 6 weeks of trial by Judge Jones in federal court in Pennsylvania, in the Dover district. Here you have a person who knew nothing about evolution, a born-again Christian, evangelical Christian, appointed by W. Bush, and oops, something happened. Oh, here it is. The Ivy movement represents the status of the theory of evolution in the scientific community. The same thing we have been saying. Causes students to doubt validity without scientific justification, present students with a religious alternative masquerading as a scientific theory. It is not science. I have been arguing that because it cannot be tested precisely for the reasons that Professor Craig said. How do we know the intentions of the designer? Maybe the designer does not want to make things perfect. He wants to make them imperfect. So we cannot do anything with statements of that kind in science. We have to be able to make predictions as to what should be tested. And there is no evidence. You know, in 1998, Philip Johnson, emeritus professor of law at the University of California in Berkeley, said, well, I agree that there is no evidence for intelligent design, but give us 5 or 10 years. 10 years went by, there is no evidence. But now my main point, final point, is contrary to religion. And this is a very personal view. And I want to convince you that I want to let you know how I see things and why I see intelligent design as extremely dangerous and destructive to religion. Look at the human jaw. You know, it's not big enough for the teeth. So we have the wisdom teeth removed, and orthodontists have to straighten the other ones. Intelligent design. An engineer that we have designed the human jaw would fire the next day. I don't want my God, you know, omnipotent and benevolent, to have designed the human jaw or the human birth canal. Look what happens in the world of nature. When, to take one example, when a baboon that is a male who lives in a troop, in a group of typically a male baboon, a dominant baboon with 15, 20 females, most of them with infants which are lactating. When the baboon is killed, the dominant male, by another baboon, or is replaced, or somehow it disappears and another baboon takes over, another male baboon, the male baboon that comes in, the first thing it does is to kill all the babies. This is exactly what you would expect from natural selection, because a male baboon that does that will transmit his genes more effectively to the following generation. Once the babies are killed, the female is going to estrus, so now they are going to carry the genes of that baboon. The genes that make that baboon kill the babies are the genes that are transmitted more effectively to the next generation. I prefer to see this as natural selection rather than as a consequence of design by an intelligent designer, by the creator. Well, so I think intelligent design implications are blasphemous, because they imply that God is inept, like in the design of the jaw, and everything else. Every part that we can look of a human being or every animal or plant is incompetently designed. And it's a cruelty, like in the baboon. I have not gone into this other elaborating these other points, but look, parasites exist only for the purpose of destroying their hosts. They cannot live but by killing. I don't want the God of benevolence and the omnipotent God to be given the credit for having made that creation. But look at this last point. 20% of all human pregnancies end in abortion, spontaneous abortion, because the human reproductive system is a mess. It's so poorly designed that 20% of the babies die within the first 2 months. 20% of all babies, 100 million babies born per year in the world, 20 million abortions, babies that never are going to come to live. Attributing the design of human beings to the Creator implies that the Creator is responsible for the 20 million abortions per year. I don't want to have anything to do with ideas that have that implication. So that's why I think evolution is the great gift to religion. With the beginning of science, when Copernicus and Galileo and Newton came about, there was a big breathing among many among many theologians, because now when a tsunami happens and kills 2 million people in Indonesia, you don't have to say it's God punishing the Indonesians, or when a earthquake happens in China and keeps 50,000 Chinese. Just last year, the Indonesian tsunami was 3 or 4 years ago, or when Vesuvius erupts and destroys completely Pompeii Herculaneum. You don't have to say it's God causing these deaths. It's natural processes. And the same with the living organisms. When we have 20 million abortions per year in the world, we don't have to say they are due to God's design. They are the result of natural processes. That's why, again, I say that evolution is a gift not only to science but to religion, and I have written this book, Darwin's Gift to Science and Religion. Thank you.